Hello, it's the Friday Talkie, and I'm so glad to be able to be actually doing this Friday Talkie. Some of you will be aware that my computer died. It was an 8-year-old PC. It was a Pentium 3.2 gigahertz, so I mean, despite being old, it was quite fast. The thing with it was it could do one thing very quickly, but only one. If I was video processing, I couldn't do anything else. And well, I worked it very hard for all of those 8 years, and it finally just gave up the ghost. I'd left it processing a video. It was about the third video I'd done that day, just 3 in a row. I left it up here running, came back up an hour or two later, and it was not running. The power was on, but nothing was happening. I took it apart, put it back together again, reseated everything, you know, jigged about everything I could, unattached everything I could, basically tried it, all the things you're meant to do if your computer doesn't work, to try and find the fault, and it just didn't want to know. Replaced the power supply with another power supply that I knew worked, still didn't want to know. So basically it died. So I ripped out all the useful bits like the graphics card and the memory. I could have ripped out the drives and stuff as well, but in the end I couldn't be bothered. Saved the hard drive. There's lots of data on that hard drive, but I've got nothing to plug it into. But fortunately I had almost everything backed up on my external drive. Everything except my intro. And I didn't want to just use the intro, like clip it from one of my other videos, because it would mean then compressing a piece of video that's already been compressed, and the quality just goes out the window. I mean, my outro that I've been using for the past however long, I did that, you know, it's using a previously compressed piece, and the text quality is diabolical, and I haven't really been happy with that. So that's out the window as well. But anyway, yes, I have done a new intro. I haven't done an outro yet. I will be doing one. And I'm now using a Lenovo G550 laptop. It's Andrea's laptop. It's on Windows 7, which I'm finding kind of awkward and annoying, but what can you do? It works. It's dual core, slower clock speed than my old machine, so on actual video processing it takes a little bit longer, but I can do more than one thing with it. I can still use it while it's processing, which is nice. So yeah, it's taken a few days to get back up to speed, get my intro sorted, get everything installed on here that I needed, like Sony Vegas. I put on there Dreamweaver, Photoshop, and FTP package. Get all the stuff on there that I need to do the things that I need to do. That's all sorted now, it's all hunky-dory, and I should be back to making videos as normal. Yay! Now then, what did I want to talk about? Sega Saturn. I did a video recently, Daytona USA, and in it I was saying about how I thought Sega shouldn't have released the Saturn, blah blah blah. And I want to kind of build on that, because it was said, okay, yeah, really what should have happened, what Sega should have done at that time was not build the Sega CD, not build the 32X. They should have taken the time to build the Saturn and do it properly as a 3D machine. And that is true. It is a very, very good point. And I wish I could remember who said that. It was a regular. My apologies for forgetting. I should go back and look, but I'm lazy. It was a very, very good point. And really, that Sega should have done that. But let's... And I'm not actually doing this to debunk what you said. It's just I've been thinking about the whole thing. Sega produced the... firstly, the Mega CD. It was as a response to the SNES, because the SNES had all this Mode 7 funkiness about it, and they wanted something with extra graphical hardware. They weren't thinking in terms of 3D at that time. They were thinking, we've been caught up and overtaken by the Nintendo, so we need to compete with that. And CD-ROM stuff was a new super duper fandangled technology at that time, and they wanted in on that as well. So I understand their thinking with the Sega CD, Mega CD. The 32X was a bit more of a mistake in a way, because the Saturn was on the drawing board at this time. Again, their thinking here was they were competing with Nintendo again with the Super FX chip. The SVP chip in Virtua Racing was stupidly expensive, and the thinking was, well, why don't we just have an add-on so you don't need to put the chip into the cartridge? Cartridges can stay cheap. You just buy this add-on and then stick cartridges in, and they kind of got carried away with it and made something more advanced than that. But what they made, I think it's good. The way they did it and the timing of it was not good, because it ended up competing with the Saturn more or less. But yeah, the Saturn was a response to the PS1, where the Mega CD and the 32X were a response to Nintendo and what they were doing with the SNES. So where they were positioned did kind of make sense. It's just that their timing was bad, and the Saturn was, again, I stand by what I said, really. I think they should have made, I mean, they planned the Neptune, which was going to be a Mega Drive with 32X all in one. They should have made that, but with Mega CD, so your CD hardware, and the funky graphics hardware that went with that, the sprite scaling and stuff, all built into one thing with the Mega Drive and the 32X, which would have given you some fairly basic 3D and great sprite handling. You see, they'd got the technology there. It had already been developed. As soon as they saw that the PS1 was coming and it was 3D, they should have made this 2D powerhouse, like a swan song for the Mega Drive, with brilliant sprite handling, because let's be honest, the Mega CD's got pretty good sprite handling. That Jaguar XJ220 video that I did recently shows that. I mean, it's great at sprites. So yeah, a 2D sprite handling powerhouse with the technology they've already got. They wouldn't have needed to spend money and time on development. They should have done that as soon as they saw the PS1 was coming. Instead, they'd got the Saturn, which they were working on as a 2D machine, and they realised, oh crap, we need 3D for this. Slapped in another CPU or something, bunged in some extra hardware, and basically made a bloody mess of it. They made a machine that was great at 2D, but was not great at 3D. It was an absolute bitch to program, needed a real specialist to get the best out of it, and even then it couldn't match what the PS1 was doing. So they should have scrapped it. They should have scrapped the Saturn, gone with the technology they've got, made an all-in-one console, and then while that just kind of kept them ticking over, they should have designed something that may have turned out to be like the Dreamcast. Instead of wasting an awful lot of time and money and alienating their entire customer base. I mean, they abandoned the Mega CD, they abandoned the 32X, they abandoned the Saturn. So by the time the Dreamcast came out, no one trusted them. Software houses weren't going to publish for it, and no one was going to buy it, because everyone's thinking, oh, they're going to abandon this. And guess what? They did. And that was the end of Sega in the hardware scene. Just me speculating, really. It's what I think they should have done. In the end, it makes no difference. However, I read something in Retro Gamer magazine recently, which I found very interesting, and it kind of goes along with what's been going on in the hardware scene recently. There have been a lot of clone machines hitting the market, and you'll have seen them. There are clone Mega Drives, there are clone handheld Mega Drives, like officially licensed by Sega, so there are clone handhelds, there are clone, probably non-licensed, I don't know. There's this clone Mega Drive with wireless controllers. They're selling for £99 in some places, but get yourself to B&M, they're something like 40 quid, they're much cheaper. Don't know why anyone would want to spend that much on one, but anyway. So there are lots of these cloned machines, Mega Drives, SNESes, NESes, they're all over the place. Very popular. And I read in Retro Gamer this chap saying, wouldn't it be interesting if they cloned the Saturn? Because 2D games at the moment are really, really popular. No, he didn't say if they cloned it, did he? He said the Saturn would probably be more popular now than it was back in the day, because 2D games are really big right now. And I found that very interesting. But I think the Saturn would be a little bit too expensive, too complicated to clone I don't think Sega would re-release it. But I wonder, they're cloning Mega Drives anyway. Why doesn't someone clone the Mega Drive with 32X? Make a Neptune clone, if not a Mega Drive Mega CD 32X. All in one clone. That would be fantastic. Make the thing that I think Sega should have made all along. Clone it. Someone, please, sell this machine. And then make new games for it. I want one. But what this really got me thinking about, if 2D machines really are getting that popular, and they seem to be, I mean, these clone Mega Drives and SNESes really are popular because they're cheap. What would be the ultimate 2D machine to bring back, to reproduce, clone it, whatever, put them back into production, something, because 2D is popular again? Neo Geo. Only they could do it cheaper. I mean, the hardware in it is not, it's a couple of 68,000 CPUs, a Z80 for sound, if I'm not mistaken, some other stuff, I don't know what the graphics processors are. But what really made the Neo Geo AES, I mean, forget the CD-based thing, we don't want the hassle of optical drives and the expense, but what made it so expensive was the cartridges, because back then the chips, the RAM, ROM, whatever, they were so expensive. But you don't need that now. SD cards. Let's have an AES based on SD cards. I mean, you probably don't need the massive great thing. You could probably have something that big, have it SD card based. Yes, someone please make one, sell it, clone machine, whatever, licensed, I don't care. I want one, because I can't afford the cartridges for my AES. Alright, that's that. Big waffle really, I'm just kind of thinking aloud, but anyway. Shout out time. Okay then, this week's shout out is Pompy Games Room. This is run by a guy called Sean. I don't know an awful lot about him, but I do know I like his channel. He's got a small collection, I say small, it's quite respectable collection of consoles here. Everything from Sega Mega Drive, Mega CD, Game Gear, Saturn, Dreamcast, and a whole load of Sega stuff there. PlayStations 1 through 3, PSP, Nintendo stuff, Amstrad. Okay, and he comes from Portsmouth. That's another thing I know about him. Yay, that would be why it's called Pompey, because that's what their football team's called, kind of. Something. I know nothing about football, so I'll shut up about that. But I do like his channel. He's got game reviews, most recent one here from 4 hours ago, Altered Beast on the Mega Drive. He's got a review of the Sega Nomad, which is cool. I like the Nomad a lot. I've got one, I think it's cool. Micro Machines, he's got a whole load of FIFA videos here. 96, Sega Rally, cool. FIFA 95, FIFA International, and here's his introduction video. Like most channels that I pick to shout out, I like how he does this. I like his manner, his way of speaking, his presentation. I mean, you'll almost certainly by now be aware, there is a particular kind of channel that I like. And this is that kind of channel. I think it's cool. I highly recommend it. Pompy Games Room. I will leave a link down in the linky area below the video. I don't know what they call it. See, sidebar, you know what to call it, but this thing, I don't know. Okay then, closing comments. Actually, not such a closing comment. Replay. You'll know that I probably know that I went to that this weekend just gone with Dave and his brother. Absolutely fantastic show. I don't know if anyone has been actually watching or paying attention. I've been adding links to the page, the page where I got my video, to as many of the other replay videos as I could find. There are quite a few links there. Well worth taking a look if you're remotely interested in replay. And you should be, because they're doing another one next year. And it's going to be even bigger and even better, because while we had this whopping great big exhibition hall there at Norbrecht Castle, and it was huge, and filled with retro goodness, next year, as well as having the exhibition centre, they're also going to be having the ballroom in the Norbrecht Castle. Now, I'm very familiar with that hotel. I've stayed there several times. I love it. It's my favourite hotel in Blackpool. I know what the ballroom is like, and it is big. So, exhibition hall and the ballroom is going to be absolutely bloody massive. Check out the videos. You will see how fantastic it is. And then if you live in the UK, Unless you're absolutely crazy, you will want to go. And if you don't live in the UK, get on a plane and come over. Because it's worth flying 3,000 miles to go to a retro exhibition.